Hi, my name is Marco, and I talk about the nature of reality and psychological issues so that you can feel at peace with yourself and existence as a whole. Today, I want to talk about the idea that reality is imagination or unreal in some sense. This idea becomes quite common in spiritual circles or in certain groups of philosophy where you realize that all of existence always happens in your own head. Factually, we know that we have brains that perceive reality through brain processing. And from there, if you really take everything factually, there's nothing that you ever experience that is happening outside of your head. It's all in your brain or in your mind. The problem is that when we talk about reality this way, we kind of understand it intuitively, but then we don't take it seriously. We understand it in some factual sense, but we don't understand then that all our relationships with other people are also internal. And there's no tiny way where you have actually contact to some external reality. Your entire existence is biased by your perception. And how deep this bias goes is often shocking when you start to unravel, like it's a shocking realization when you start to unravel the psychology of the mind. It becomes quite scary even. Because there's this branch of philosophy that is called Solipsism. And Solipsism is the idea that the entire universe only exists in your head, and that all other conscious beings, or like your friends and family, that all of them literally don't exist and have no conscious experience of their own, and it's all just in your perception. And this can cause a lot of mental disturbance to people because, yeah, what a scary realization. Other people aren't real, it's just you. And it's important to note that it is not true that there are not other conscious beings. Of course, there are other conscious beings. You just don't have ever access to them. It's feelings of empathy and love that connect you to what you're separated from. But it is the fact that whenever you imagine somebody else to be conscious, you never really have access to another person's consciousness. It is nonsensical. When you really interact with a human and connect with them face to face, then you can take them at face value and feel what they are feeling if you empathize, and you can listen to their world and try to understand what happens in their mind. But it's still always filtered through your own perception. You're not actually accessing another person's reality in that sense. And what makes this very confusing is that we do have very strong perceptions over what other people are like. If we judge somebody else as being a piece of shit because he is just always mean to people and he's rude and he's just very much unlikable, then it's not just that you think this person is unlikable to you. You are 100% certain that this unlikability is some sort of objective metric, some objective metric of reality itself. And then to kind of realize that no, it wasn't actually objective at all. It is based on your biases and your certain perceptions of this person. And these perceptions come about through the life experiences that you've had over your lifetime. The thing that makes it even more mind-boggling is that it's not just the perception of other people that are illusionary. It is any perception whatsoever. Because right now you live in the year 2025. And for you, 2025 is reality. Well, if we zoom out a little bit and think about the universe as a whole, 2025 is just 1 year out of how many of human history? How many of the history of the universe? If you take the theory of relativity from Albert Einstein seriously, then it reveals that there is absolutely no simultaneous time, meaning that there's nothing really that happens in some objective timeline or some objective present moment. And this is where solipsism comes in again, where when you meditate and focus on your experience in the present moment, it becomes quite shocking how you are very much in your own timeline in a sense. Like, yeah, you're interacting with me right now, and this interaction is even weirder because I'm talking to, like, you're listening to me in the past. I've already recorded this. I'm talking to you as if you're present right now. But even this entire video is a giant illusion that you kind of like it doesn't matter to you. You don't have to actively think about it, right? But then even if you're in front of a person and you're looking them into the eyes, there's this perception of simultaneity, that it happens in the same position of space-time. But if we take physics seriously and we take the theory of relativity seriously, this is not the case. And if you kind of take a very honest approach to how your life has been like, you've been born in a different place at a different time. And when you interact with anybody, they also have been born at a different place in a different time. So whenever you cross timelines per se, and you talk to another person in the same moment, it like per definition can't be the same moment for the other person, because for the other person to arrive to this moment, many more years have passed, or maybe just months or weeks, but whatever. It's never like in the same timeline per se. So when you recognize the nature of time and the perception of self, and how you perceiving anything is what biases you to think it is important, then you have to start to wonder, is anything objectively real? If you all you have is a subjective perception of reality, and there's nothing really to ground you in, then you can kind of get this weird, solipsistic funk that, maybe even there are other conscious beings, but in a way I'm always alone and I have never access to other people's perception. The sense of cosmic loneliness and longing for some deeper connection in reality, I believe, comes from the same space, from this recognition that there's nothing really that can tether you to a reality, because change leaves everything empty. There's no moment ever that stays the same. And as a matter of fact, for a moment to be what it is, it basically has to sacrifice all alternative possibilities. Meaning that for this moment to be exactly how it is right now, you had to make the choice to watch this video instead of another one, or you had to make the choice to wake up at a certain moment of time and work at the job that you do today. There are so many things that had to have happened for you to perceive this moment for what it is now, and to give me your attention. And since your attention is here right now, this is what matters. I mean, at least if you're not distracted. But by paying attention, this is what is reality like for you right now. But this entire artifice of watching this video and perceiving me talking to you now is perceived as being like special or more important just because your awareness rests here. But where in time and space is this really happening? Because for me, it's happening right in front of my camera, right? Talking to you. But for you, maybe you're watching this video 1 week after I recorded it, or a year after I recorded it. So I might be sending millions of messages to past versions of people communicating with me right now. So by explaining all of these different perceptions of reality and kind of dissecting them, what I'm pointing to is the fact that there's no solidity behind any of it. There's no perception that grounds anything in something really subjective, really objective and measurable, except your present moment of experience. Your present moment of experience is all there is, as kind of like a matter of fact. This is how you perceive reality like, because in a way, it is how it is like. It's like the light of awareness that shines in your mind right now and makes and like rarefies this moment as reality and solid. If you take a very physical approach of reality, then there must have been millions, infinite perceptions that have run its course for you to be here right now. So now you find yourself in this reality, in this present moment experience, where this is the only thing that matters. But everything that came before you and comes after you is equally real in a sense. Like everything that has to have happened for you to be here was real at some point. It was another moment of perception. And you found yourself here right now, which is kind of like the possibility space is collapsing into this present moment. And what is going to happen next? Well, it's whatever's going to happen next. The entire history of the universe, if you so will. So if you do this weird perspective shifting, like zooming into your experience and then zooming out to other perspectives, the construct of reality starts to unravel. You start to see that, yeah, the emptiness that spirituality points to, the deconstructing of what is real, starts to make sense. Because it's not that reality isn't real in some sense that there isn't any experience happening, because of course there's experience. Everything that we know of so far has been an experience. But it is not real in the sense that there's no way to pretend that any experience is realer than another or matters more than another. And since you cannot be in one moment and kind of freeze it in time and say, like, this is my moment of experience, this is just how reality is like, but instead it shifts and changes, well, then sooner or later you are confronted with the fact, wait, was any of this even real? Because it didn't stay and then it shifted into something else. This is where we start to attach to things. We start to be attached to our family and friends and video games and the number in our bank account or whatever. Because when we attach our identity or sense of self to an experience or to an object in our experience, then we start to kind of become it, or we become tethered to it. Now we have a feeling that there's a ground to reality. Even as something as simple as waking up in the morning and first thing of the day, I have a cup of coffee. I actually prefer green tea though. But that's besides the point. So imagine you drink a cup of coffee every morning. So a crucial aspect of your reality is this cup of coffee. And if suddenly you weren't be able to drink this coffee every morning, well, then you'd feel like something is missing. And it's not just dopamine missing in your brain, or you're just needing your caffeine hits to be awake and productive, which, be granted, all of this helps for certain. But there's like, in an aspect, some part of you that is missing. A part that tethered you into something solid. Because if you can rely on the coffee in the morning, well, then you have some anchor to ground yourself in. And this is what we do with all aspects of our experience. That's why we enter in these patterns and grooves where we start to get stuck and bring ourselves into this loop of unsatisfactoriness, where we hate our lives, we are unsatisfied with who we are are not enjoying what we're working towards. We have so much time actually, but no way to actually fill it in a way that is satisfying. But then changing these patterns, changing the grooves and habits that you found yourself in, what this causes then is you need to unravel your reality. Your actual model of existence starts to unravel, because suddenly, wait, I'm not my cup of coffee in the morning. I'm actually not my partner that I loved that now is gone. I am not any of my habits. I'm not the number in my bank account. Then who am I? What am I? And if you then start to dissect your experience day to day, then, well, what you'll find at the end is that you're actually nothing at all. There's no way you can possibly ground your experience in anything solid. And what you end up just being made out of is perception. Because perception is the nature of reality. It is the nature of what existence is like. And you, as a part of existence, are ultimately perception, which in some crucial way can't ever die. That's how you found yourself in this place, because it was inevitable. Perception has happened for so many times, and it will keep happening in so many ways. And now it found you here. So all perceptions of reality are equally real, and at the same time, since time is an illusion, your experience in this present moment is the only real one, because reality has collapsed into your present moment experience. But then also, not even your own present moment experience is the real one. This is pretty much the illusion of our dream character life, because we are basically collapsing all possibility spaces into the present moment and then convince us that the present moment is the only thing that is real or that matters, which at the end of the fact is an illusion. Here you see the paradox that we have to kind of grapple with when we start to want to understand the nature of reality, because on one hand, we need to embrace the fact that, everything dies and all disappears and nothing can ever be solid. And on the other hand, we also need to see how meaningful the present moment is despite this impermanence. And it becomes very obvious once you are in confrontation with death. Death of a loved one, but it could also be just, a breakup, which feels also like a sort of death, a parting away. Or it could just be moving places. When you move from, one country to another, or just from one house to another, there's a lot of identity tied into one place. And then we unravel that by realizing, okay, I wasn't this place, I can be another place too. And then you might have to mourn and feel sad about it and experience what it is like to be in a different place, or say goodbye to your past life. And there the transformation happens, the change of perspective happens. Being at peace with this ever-changing nature of reality will sooner or later make you realize the deep illusion that we all exist in. I've talked about this deep illusion and how I personally have changed my perception of reality throughout my life in my Substack. At the top link of the description, you can click and read the things that I've posted there. I'm just new at Substack right now, so I'm keeping yourself updated. But there I actually give some written, more structured formats to actually help you transform your perception of reality and be in peace with yourself